Welcome to the Predictive Playbook. This is the college football edition for Week 5 action. I have Jesse Schule and Dr. Chuck in the house, part of the team last week that went 7-0 in college football and NFL combined. Truly remarkable performance, guys. We're going to get right to it. We're going to lead off here with Jesse talking about the number 4 Michigan Wolverines going to Wisconsin, a place where they haven't won in 20 seasons. They did last win in 2001, and they've lost the last 5 trips to Madison. Jesse, this is a very interesting matchup with sentiment on Wisconsin really going on the decline. How do you see this game, and where should we put our money?
Well, I watched last week's game between Wisconsin and Notre Dame, and of course the Irish won in a lopsided game on the scoreboard. But I didn't think that game was as one-sided as it looked at the end. I mean, it was 41-13, but the game was tied 10-10 going into the fourth quarter. Of course, that was a game that was affected by turnovers. Wisconsin turned the ball over 5 times. Uh, you know, the Irish weren't able to run the ball either in that game. They only had 9 yards rushing. Now the Wisconsin's facing a Michigan team that really leans on their running game. Their quarterback, Cade McNamara, more of a game manager. He hasn't had a game with double-digit completions yet this year. All of his games, he's in the single digits in completions. He averages around 130, 135 yards a game. And so the recipe for beating Wisconsin in Wisconsin, perhaps Michigan doesn't have the same tools as the Irish had, and perhaps the Irish were a little lucky. So I'm looking at taking Michigan as the home dog +1 in that game.
I like that play. I think they bounce back as well. And the second game we're looking at here is probably the marquee game of the day when number 7 Cincinnati travels to South Bend to take on those 9th-ranked Notre Dame Irish that you said probably were fortunate. And that score was definitely not 41-13 since Wisconsin was leading in the fourth quarter 13-10. It just unraveled completely. Notre Dame at home as a dog. Cincinnati opened at 1.5, and we've seen steady money coming in on the Cincinnati Bearcats here, currently at 2.5 points, with a total opened at 52 and has come down now to 50. So, Jesse, share us the breakdown on this game too, and where you're going to take some bets to the window.
Well, who would have guessed that the Irish would be lucky? But I think they were a little bit lucky last week, and I just think Cincinnati's the better team. They've won 12 of their last 13 games. Their last loss came by a score of 24-21 to Georgia in the Peach Bowl last year. And Cincinnati's looked impressive. I mean, they've won all their games by double digits. It's a good setup for them. It's a bit of a letdown spot for the Irish coming off that sort of incredible win in Wisconsin. And it's a bye week for Cincinnati. They're well rested, lots of time to prepare. I think they've got the better quarterback. I think they've got the better defense, and I think Cincinnati will prevail on the road at South Bend.
Yeah, that's. I think that the market is telling us that, guys. Cincinnati favored on the road at South Bend is something to behold, and I think the market is telling us that that is the correct side. So good job there. I'm going to talk about Penn State here, and Penn State is a team that you take last season and just throw it out the window. And, they are a team that is on the rise. They are ranked number 4 in the country right now. I think that might be a bit ahead of themselves. But I think by, week 8, week 9, they're going to be proven number 4 in the AP top 25 standings. So they take on Indiana, who they lost to last year during that amazing 5-game losing streak to start out their season. And that game ended with a very controversial touchdown. And I think that James Franklin is a terrific coach, vastly underrated. Sometimes I think the boosters don't appreciate just the quality man that he is and the type of program he's building in Happy Valley. And I think that he has some bulletin board material here to remind the kids that, hey, last year, that wasn't real good. And motivationally, I think he's going to have these guys really loaded for bear. And it's backed by a betting system, too, that I like, a betting angle where you bet on home favorites of 10.5 to 21 points. that are solid offensive teams at the college level, gaining 400 to 440 yards per game, facing a team with an average defense allowing 350 to 400 yards per game, and with the Lions coming off a game where they outgained their opponent by 125 or more total yards in the previous game. Now, you're probably wondering what that record is when these things happen, and I'm going to tell you here in just a second, as soon as I get to my notes here. Boy, where is it now? It is. Sorry, guys. Let's put it this way. It's very good, and the record is 0-1 this year. But prior to that, it was 23-3 over the last 10 seasons for 85% winners. So right now it's 23-4 for 85% winners over the last 10 seasons. It's gone 10-2 the last 5. 60% of these games have covered the spread by more than 7 points. I see Penn State potentially winning this by 21 or more points. So take Penn State as a best bet. And now we're going to move on to Dr. Chuck. And Dr. Chuck has a very good game in the Big Ten, where Minnesota 2-2 on the season's traveling to the 3-1 Purdue Boilermakers. It's set to start at noon Eastern Standard Time. The Gophers are coming off one of the most humiliating defeats any program could ever have, and I'm not putting down Bowling Green, but Bowling Green was a 31-point underdog and won 14-10. So, Dr. Chuck, one of the questions I have for you is: there going to be any lingering effects on this Gophers team, or their head coach going to take care of things? His name is PJ Fleck, by the way. Take care of this team, get them prepared, motivated, and put that loss way, way behind them. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, obviously that's some of those things that you just mentioned are things that obviously need to happen. This is a lot more. I'm on the Gophers here, plus the 2.5. A lot more for the spot. You guys in your sexy, beautiful Big Ten teams, and I'm going to take the team that just lost outright to BG, and you didn't want to bash BG. You can, John. That's okay. Minnesota, there's nothing I like more than, holding your nose, taking a putrid team off of an absolute worst performance. Those are the type of spots I like. It's not like Purdue looked great in a win over Illinois, but some of the things that you have to think about being built in here, the public is going to know what just happened in Minnesota last week. They're going to remember them from the opening game against Ohio State, where they lost Ibrahim, and that hurt big time for their run game. And they're also going to know that there's a really good chance David Bell, like all-world Purdue receiver, will be back from concussion protocol. All of that, and Purdue still is not laying a home field advantage number here. And so, therefore, there's nothing I like more. John and I discussed this in our last show. You see 2.5 on a home team, and it's the square bettor's dream. Wow, I just need the home team to win by a field goal, and it's pure bait. And, I mean, the public does not want to back a team like this. Minnesota had a 12-play, 30-yard, 9-minute drive against Bowling Green that resulted in a punt. I mean, it defies all logic, and I think Minnesota is a much better team than Purdue overall. Trayson Potts, I think, has stepped in fine for Ibrahim, and I just think they win this game. Take the 2.5, take the money line, but I think Minnesota gets a win after that debacle last week.
Yeah, I mean, that is one hell of a win for Bowling Green program, too, coming out of the MAC conference and taking down a Big Ten foe. It's great for them in the conference, no doubt. And I think they bounce back big, the Gophers do this week. So I agree with all your picks this week. And that'll take care of our Week 5 action here with college football and the Predictive Playbook. So on behalf of Jesse Schule, Dr. Chuck, and myself, may all the wins be yours. Thanks for watching.